Hey everybody, welcome back to PhotoRec.tv. I'm Toby, and a week ago Sony announced its 60th E-mount lens, the beautiful and very well received 50mm f1.2. Today, I'm really excited to announce something different. It's another 50! This video is brought to you by Squarespace. Squarespace offers a fantastic way to build a beautiful website. You can try them out for free for 14 days. Squarespace.com/PhotoRecTV will save you 10% when you go to purchase. Yes, Sony has announced another 50mm lens, joining the 51.2 that was announced last week and a bunch of other 50s that they and third party already have. We'll get to that. But they also announced a 40 and a 24. Now these new lenses are ultra compact. You could call them pancake if you want. There's no true definition of that. And they're all available in the Sony full frame mount. Now in case you have better things to do than watch my video, I'm going to spoil this review. These lenses are going to cost $599. They are tiny, even smaller than they look on this video, and they're very lightweight, and they are sharp. I'm excited that Sony is keeping those of us that value portability in mind. I'm happy to recommend these lenses based on my testing, but I do want you to know that there are some more budget-friendly options out there that get you very close in quality if you're willing to make some sacrifices. If you appreciated the summary up front, hit that like button and don't forget to subscribe. In this video, we're going to take a closer look at these lenses and share some of what I've been testing over the last couple of weeks. All three lenses are basically identical on the outside. They all offer a focus ring on the front edge, a manual aperture control ring with a click-declick switch for that ring, a small but present focus hold button. Now, I usually use my focus hold button to recall the perfect setting for shooting birds in flight. That's not so well suited to these lenses, so I'd love you to leave a comment below on how you like to assign that button. And you also have an autofocus AF/MF switch. Focus is internal with no protruding elements. All of these lenses accept 49mm filter threads and each comes with a lens hood. The 24mm has that standard open style hood and it is reversible, making it just a tiny bit more portable. The 40 and the 50 have the more protective style of hood. It's not reversible, but those hoods do provide 49mm filter threads. Now the other differences between these three lenses, while the 24 is an f2.8 lens and the 40 and the 50 are f2.5. I know some of you are disappointed that these are not faster f1.8 lenses, and some of you are going to be very happy that they made that trade-off to keep these so small and lightweight. Seriously, do you see the size of these? I thought the Tamron series of primes was small. Here is my Tamron 20, which is identical to their 24 and their 35. The Tamron weighs 221 grams, about 8 ounces. The Sony 24 weighs 162 grams. That's about 6 ounces, a little less. The 50mm weighs 174. The 40mm 173. They're the same. Basically 6 ounces. They feel incredibly lightweight in hand, but they also feel really well built. You've got a very satisfying friction to the focus ring, the aperture control ring that sits just a bit higher, making it easy to distinguish by feel in this compact space. And I love the fact that you have that click-declick switch, making photographers and videographers just that much more happy. I mean, my really only complaint about the build of these is, well, it's very nice that they put a focus hold button on such a small lens, but I do wish it was just a little bit bigger. Internally, we have a 7-bladed aperture design that I find produced mostly round bouquet balls, though you'll occasionally see a bit more of the angles and occasionally they go a bit smushy. They're clean looking though, and I find the out of focus areas in these images from these primes pleasing. Just a note, I'm going to put up some more samples in a gallery for you to look at. Visit PhotoRec.tv/Sony Trio to find those. The lens is moisture and dust resistant, similar to other G-series lenses. Yes, this is a G-series lens. Maybe I should have led off with that. Close focusing Using autofocus, I found the 50mm to be about 10 inches, the 40mm at 7 3/4, and the 24mm minimum focus distance at about 6 inches. Now with mini lenses, if you switch to manual, you can get even a little bit closer. I found the difference to be about an inch closer with the 40 and the 50, but the 24mm I could get in just under 4 inches. Optically, these lenses perform really well. I shot my standard test neighborhood brick wall. Sharpness is good from center to corner at all apertures. Maybe I could say the 24 is a little softer in the corners, but I had to zoom past 100% to really see a difference. 40 and 50 look great. All exhibit some slight vignetting, again the 24 a little bit more, and it all clears up past f4. Now I own the Sharp Tamron 28-75 and the 17-28, and I was curious how they compare. I mean, on one hand, that's not really a comparison that we should be making, but that's what I had on hand that covered the focal range of these little primes. And I'm happy to say the Sony primes were sharper in all apertures, all across all three of them. Sometimes I had to zoom past 200% to really see a difference, but it was there. And again, this isn't shocking. Prime lenses and primes are almost always sharper than zooms, but I am happy that these little primes performed well, especially at this price. Now the biggest difference I noticed between the Tamron and the little Sony primes was focusing speed. These are instant to focus, and the Tamron certainly takes a little bit longer. It's noticeable. Now I mentioned at the beginning, this is a crowded field. There are a lot of 50s, and there's a fair number of 24s, and there's even a couple 40s, but if we lump 35 in, even a few more. So let's take a moment and browse these alternatives. This video is brought to you by Squarespace. Many of you watching this are photographers. Squarespace provides gorgeous starting templates and gallery pages for photographers. All you need to do is pick the one that looks good to you and then start to drag and drop. It really is that easy. But if for any reason you get stuck, they provide 24/7 customer support. If you want to sell your work, they have an integrated e-commerce system that is incredibly simple to set up and manage. You also have an online booking tool, email campaign manager, and analytics, so you can track who's visiting. It really is a fantastic all-in-one platform. I am so happy. And I'm saving money on their all-in-one system. You can try Squarespace out for free for 14 days. No credit card required. Start at squarespace.com/photorectv and you'll save 10% off your first purchase. They even make the option of buying a domain super simple. It's all integrated. It's a fantastic all-in-one platform. Let's start with the 50mm focal length. Of course, we have the newly announced 51.2. Moving on past that $2,000 lens. That is lovely, but that's not what we're discussing in this video. First up, we've got the 51.8, also from Sony, $200. Reviews are okay. If you're looking for a budget 50mm lens to walk around with your Sony camera, this is a decent option. However, if you have one of the higher megapixel cameras from Sony, or you plan to upgrade at some point in the future, I don't think this lens is going to make that upgrade with you. It is not the sharpest 51.8. We've got the Sigma 51.4 at $949. That's a good bit more, so we're just going to move past it. And I'll just say I like Sigma, but I don't like the Sigma lenses for Sony where they basically just soldered in the adapter, so the form factor is just a little awkward. Sammy has a 51.4 sitting for $400. You can see it's devoid of all physical controls. Its reviews are decent. Well, let's talk more about reviews like this of Sammy, and we'll see the Tamron in a minute. But this is a decent option, but again, it is a much larger lens. And so folks who are buying into these Sony Trios, I think, really are going to value that small size and portability. Another 51.4, the Rokinon 51.4, which surprisingly doesn't have quite the same reviews as the Sammy. They should be optically identical. Then we have a 50 F28 Macro from Sony. So if you're looking to get into an affordable macro lens, this is an option for you. It does have an AF/MF switch, whereas the other Sony 51.8 does not. Sitting at $500, and the reviews are decent. I'll say this is an okay option. Finally, you got the Viltrx 50mm f1.8. I haven't shot with this lens. I have their 85-1.8 here for review. It is a fairly heavy, all-metal construction type lens. It feels very solid in the hand, but it's heavy. So I'll just leave it at that. And that price of $379, I think, is going to make this a decent value. It's not going to be the sharpest lens. Let's move on to the 24mm focal length, which has a fair number of options in it as well. These links in these filters I'm using, I'll put right down below this video so you can take some time to look over these if you want. 24-1.4, we're not talking about that in this video. Let's talk about the Tamron 24, because in this video I made a direct comparison to that in size. I was actually holding the 20mm, but they are identical in size. $200. This is a good value lens. You can see the reviews aren't so good. I think what happens is people shoot with the 28-75 from Tamron, then they pick up one of these primes thinking they're going to get very similar results. And these lenses aren't bad, but they aren't as exciting as that 28-75. This is a $200 prime. Now notice that you have no manual controls on it, no physical controls other than the focus ring, so just keep that in mind. We've got a Sigma 24. Then we've got a Sony 24 F28, these tiny little lenses. If you've been paying careful attention to this video, you'll notice my Sony A1 sitting off to the side. It actually has the 35mm focal length for this lens. I paid about $200 for it, and I'm happy. Is it as sharp as the Sony 35 F28? No. Does it focus as reliably all the time? No. But it was a $200 tiny little lens, and I am, again, pretty happy with it. So this is a real option if you're looking a very small and compact lens to put on your camera. I do think, though, as you move up in higher megapixel cameras, you might be a little bit more disappointed in the quality you get out of this. Then we have a Sigma 24 that at first glance in a lot of ways looks very similar to these Sony lenses. You've got an aperture control ring, you've got a nice focus ring, the price is very similar, the construction is very similar, but it is an f3.5 lens, so it is a bit slower, and if we pop over where I already have it opened up, it is a bit heavier. Now, I'll let you decide if that's a big deal or not. 2 ounces doesn't really feel like a big deal, but it's something to keep in mind. A Rokinon 24, which is about the same price as the Sony, should be. And then Viltrx has a 24 f1.8. Again, I expect this to be a bigger, heavier lens, but at that price point, it may offer a good value to you. Let's take a look at the 40mm focal length, of which we see there's very little competition. We're not in these category of lenses. However, 40 is very close to 35, and the 35 focal length gives us a lot of options. We, of course, have the 35-1.4. Sigma's got a 35-1.4 that is getting closer in price to these, but again, that is a very large, heavy lens. Sony has a 35-1.8 sitting at $379, getting good reviews. It does have a switch on it. I don't know what that switch does. Mode 1, Mode 2, custom? I am curious. Let me know in the comments if you know. Its reviews are quite good, but it is a bigger, heavier, but faster lens. Sony has their own 35 f1.8 sitting at $700, and reviews are decent. No controls other than, it's hard to see on the side here, but it does actually have, there we go, a custom hold button on it. So if you really like that idea and you want a faster 35, this is an option for you. Another of these Sigma contemporary lenses. This is an f2, so it's a little bit faster. $639, a little bit more money, and it is a little bit more weight. And missing the custom focus hold button, but that's an option. Then we've got the Tamron, again sitting here with a 4 out of 5 star review, devoid of all controls other than autofocus, but sitting at just $200. And yes, it is heavier, as I showed a few moments ago, but it's not that much different. Sony's got the 35. This is the lens that I've had on my A1 for this video, and I am quite happy with it. $200. It comes and goes around this price, so keep an eye out if you're on a budget looking. When I'm pixel peeping, you know, but this isn't a lens I put on and then go start pixel peeping. This is a lens I put on for a fun walk around town with my family when I want to travel very light, and I'm happy that I didn't spend a whole lot of money for it. Sigma's got a 35-1.2. Sony's got a 35-1.4 at $500, not reviewed quite as well. And then there's the 35-1.8 from Rokinon, very similar. And now here is basically that Sony and that Rokinon 35 f2.8 that I have that I'm happy with. It's basically a clone of this lens here, which sits at $800. I've shot with this lens a lot. It's lovely, very sharp, very small, but I don't feel like there is a $600 difference between the two lenses that I've had. Then there's another Rokinon at 229, an f4. Yongnuo has an f2.35 at 235, and if you look, you'll notice that it's an ugly lens, but it does have a focus hold customizable button on the side, plus an AF/MF switch. I have photographed with the Canon version of Yongnuo's 50, and it's nothing to write home about, but maybe they've improved. So keep that in mind. If you would like a very budget lens that's faster, that's an option. Viltrx at 1.8 is going to be a heavier metal construction lens, but it's fairly affordable. All right, we can start to wrap this up. These are great lenses. They're good looking, they perform well. I can recommend them. But as we discussed, this is a crowded space, though I think Sony's doing a good job of standing apart, offering some of the smallest, lightest, and best performing glass. I love all of the choices. Crowded space, bring it on. I mean, if you appreciate the physical controls and this adorable little portable size and lightweight lens, and rest easy knowing that these are going to perform well on the higher megapixel cameras that we have now and that are coming down the road. Again, I can happily recommend them. But if you want more budget-friendly options, well, they're out there. You're just going to be making some sacrifices. Now, the 24 and the 40 will be shipping on May 13th, the 50 on May 27th. I've got pre-order links for those right down below this video. Hit that thumbs up button if you found this useful, and don't forget to subscribe along with clicking that little bell so you're notified of future videos. And don't forget to let me know what you would use the Focus Hold customizable button for. Also, let me know if you're interested. Do you care? So often we get into these discussions and people are like, mirrorless isn't actually that much lighter. Then every time I'm out in the field teaching a workshop, I run into somebody, or there's somebody on our workshop that says, I'm so happy that I have lighter options from mirrorless. Does that apply to you? Let me know. Thanks so much for watching. Bye.